Hey, how's it going? Nate Mumford, Director of Sales Engineering here, and still quarantined in, Danbury, Connecticut. How's it going? I had a little mini vacation last week, so we're back. We're energized. We're ready to go, and once again talk about questions and answers during a time of remote workflows in COVID-19. That's right. I hope you're safe. I hope you're healthy. Your friends, your family too. We got some cool stuff to talk about today. As always, you can always email us at live@rcsworks.com. You can direct message us as well if you want your questions answered but don't want them publicly, because you could also go and comment below as well. Yeah, clearly I'm rusty, aren't I? So again, comments. We'll answer your questions live in real time. You can direct message us, email us as well. Before I forget, just want to talk about we do have that Zetta to Go license special. If you want to go and get Zetta Cloud-based disaster recovery, you can always get one free Zetta to Go license. If you remember, that acts as a seat in Zetta to Go. So some cool stuff there. I thought for today, we would essentially talk about Zetta to Go. It's been a while. As you know, we have an archive of these videos. They're online for you. The high quality videos are under rcsworks.com on the blog section. If you want to have some Facebook videos, they're also there as well. Just, facebook.com, search for us, RCS Sound Software. And then, of course, from there, there's a video section with all of our videos as part of this question and answers. For today, I thought we would talk about Zetta Cloud and Zetta Cloud-based disaster recovery and just show you some cool new features in there. Or if you haven't seen it, just kind of recap all the cool things you can do with Zetta Cloud and Zetta Cloud-based disaster recovery. If you're unfamiliar, just so you know, we debuted this. Time is weird these days. Last year at NAB, last year at NAB, we debuted the RCS Cloud, and phase one of that is Zetta Cloud-based disaster recovery. And what that means is essentially treat your Zetta Cloud as a completely separate market than your local Zetta, but all of your changes are replicated and duplicated in the cloud structure itself. So we're talking about log changes, something as simple as changing a chain type from maybe segue to stop. That's going to be reflected up into RCS Cloud. From there, we also have all of your audio, your metadata, your SQL backups, again, replicated to that of the cloud. So it almost runs in tandem with your local Zetta. In addition to that, if there is disaster for whatever reason, could be cryptoware, could be a fire, natural disaster, it could be just generic site maintenance if you want to do that, and maybe you're updating a server, or if you have some issues with, let's say, COVID-19 and an engineer can't get on staff for whatever reason, you can go on your phone, you can enable Zetta Cloud, and boom, you're on the air right now. When you restore your local computer, your local file server, just take those files, those SQL backups, the audio files from Zetta Cloud, restore them on your machine, disable Zetta Cloud, and then you're good to go. You're back on the air. Again, giving your staff a chance to really take a breath and assess the situation. That's the idea here with Zetta Cloud. We have a lot of people asking about, well, wait a second, I can just use Zetta Cloud for just automation. And you're right. That is phase two of RCS Cloud, and that is Zetta Cloud Automation. That's coming down the pipeline. We have some unique users right now who are interpreting it, but I will say that we're trying to wait till probably quarter four of 2020 and seeing where we are. But, as we always say here at RCS, our motto is we'll make it work. So, don't hesitate to reach out and see. And, I said, worst case scenario, we'll just tell you, we'll get you on one of the first lines for quarter four of 2020. So let's take a look and dive in to Zetta Cloud, because, right, that's what we're doing here. It's Facebook Live. We're just talking about some cool live features of Zetta Cloud. So, again, comments, questions, I'm checking them over here. So you should be seeing my screen right now, and this is Zetta Cloud. I'm using Chrome right now, but again, because it's a URL, you can go and access this on a Mac or a PC. Again, no VPN, because this is all built on Amazon Web Services. That is right. This is not a virtual machine. We don't just take Zetta Cloud and put it on a VM somewhere. What we actually do is we wrote this code on Amazon Web Services using their best practices and security, by the way, which is really, really cool. So it means it's flexible. If you have users all across, internationally even, you can really start looking at this as a really cool tool to, let's say, if you want to bring in a talent, if I'm here based out of New York and I want to bring in a talent from the UK, all I have to do is just give them proper credentials with a username and a password, and they can access our Zetta Cloud. So what we're looking at here is just like Zetta to go and local Zetta, we have modules in Zetta Cloud. And you can see here I have 3 modules open. I have my on-air at the very top. I have the playlist here at the very bottom. And I have my hotkeys on the bottom right. You might ask yourself, how do I switch between modules and what modules are available? I can just left click in the very top here, and you can see we have the on-air playlist, which essentially is our logs module, library, voice tracker, system monitor, and the brand new module showing today is the hotkeys module as part of Zetta Cloud. In regards to layout, we have also multiple layouts here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 modules right now. I will say we have plans to make this really, really cool and really customizable, but I'll save that for a future Facebook Live. So let's kind of talk about operating inside of Zetta Cloud. Me personally, I always like the kind of 3 module layout approach. That's just me. So again, you can see here on air, the playlist, and the hotkeys. And just to kind of recap here, we do have the same modes as beforehand. So auto, live assist, and we click it again, we'll have manual mode. Click it a third time, we'll cycle right back in between auto mode. Those behave the same exact way as Zetta. So auto mode, everything has a segue. Live assist, I can change. And then manual mode, it defaults to a stop chain. From there, I have my stop current. I have my play next. I still have my stations to choose from here in the very top right. And you might notice here that I have my login credentials and an option to log out. So everything here is what's queued up. And again, as I said, you have the chains here. You can always eject it. We have intro times, run times, all of that good stuff that's built into here. The playlist structure down below, we go by every hour. And then if we want to essentially get the next hour's playlist, there is an option here to load the next hour. So if we're scrolling, we can actually go to the next hour by continue that scroll. Otherwise, I can choose the date range and the 24/7 grid here by just simply clicking and choosing my desired date range. The filter is in here as well. We also have that sync voice tracker that's on there too. And then, of course, the station in here too. So I can have, with my 6-pack here, I could have, let's say, 3 stations with 3 on-airs, 3 playlists. Or if I have 6 stations, I can have all 6 on-air modules for all different stations on there. So Zetta Cloud can have multiple users at any given time. It's just usernames and passwords that are in there. So in case you do have multiple users, you can definitely access that and have control of the station there too. So great question there, Di. Thanks. So let's take a look at the hotkeys for an example here, and I'll make this. I'll do this. I might do, just to mix things up here, I'm gonna do a 2-panel with columns. No, I want rows. Sorry. Let's see here. So again, the layout, I'm just going to lay it up here and changing that. So actually, no, this could work. I can do this. I'll do on air. I'll pick 1 for the library and 1 over here for the hotkeys. And yeah, you know what? No, I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to do it actually 2-panel with rows here. I want to give you a nice horizontal view. So you can see, by the way, I'm just cycling through all the layouts. Doesn't affect the on-air product. It's just merely being referenced in the UI. I'm looking over here, checking my questions here with Di. Di, a question. I'm guessing the Zetta Cloud stays in station local time versus your personal machine time. Yes. So if I'm not mistaken, this does respect the local station time, so to speak. So if we create it in the East Coast Eastern time, it's going to respect that despite what machine you're accessing it, because we're accessing the actual station itself, which has its own time zone. So if not mistaken, this is a time zone reflecting that of Zetta Cloud. So in the very top here, I'm going to include my library. At the bottom here, I'm going to include my, as I load that up, my hotkeys down here, and I'm going to make sure I choose my proper station. So I'm going to pick RCS Hot AC for today, because why not? And for the hotkeys down here, I'm going to pick RCS Hot AC. So what you're going to see here in the very top, obviously, you might notice that, wait a second, Nate, what's all that white filler space there? And don't forget, this is Zetta Cloud. This is truly a cloud-based platform. So we want to kind of go for performance over kind of metadata. So obviously, if I'm loading up Zetta Cloud, I'm loading up the library, there's really no need to load up all these songs unless I really want Zetta Cloud to do that. In which case, there's a settings option here, and there's an auto load asset type on the module load. But if you have, let's say, an area where internet is not great, you might want to go and maybe keep that off just for performance issues. Or if you have great internet, perfectly fine. Just put songs or whatever it is you want as default when you open it up. So you can see down here, I have some hotkeys already created. If you're familiar with Zetta, or if you're familiar with just, kind of automation itself, very straightforward. What we're looking at here is a way to add a hotkey bank, delete a hotkey bank. We have the volume control here, getting audio, because remember, all the audio is stored in the cloud, not necessarily on Nate's laptop, right? I'm operating on Nate's laptop from my home office here. That's different from technically Zetta Cloud and the Amazon Web Service container, right? So if I want to hear something like this ... from RCS1 sweeper, I would have to download it to my locally cached machine so I can then audition that audio. And you'll know that because we'll have a little download cloud icon here. That's how you know it's not available. So if I want to do this, I can just click to download that audio. You can see just like that. Boom, Best of Morning Show sweeper. I believe I'll play this. You can hear it.
New from RCS. It's Zetta.
And of course, I have a lot of sources going in here, so it's a little taking on my CPU here. So there's my hotkey bank right here. So right now I just have one hotkey bank. It's RCS Hot AC Hotkey Bank 1. And there's some settings also too. Very simple stuff right now. Route audio to voice tracker or not, that's in there too. So I have my station picked. I have my hotkey picked here. Let's go ahead and load up some hotkeys and customize some hotkey banks, if you will. So I'm just going to go to my links here because if I want to put a song there, I could, but let's pick a G selector one. Why not? So you can see here, there's my my assets, my title, my artist, length, segue, all of that good stuff. I'm simply going to drag and drop that hotkey right into here. Success, it is saved. You can see it's got a great background by default. If I want to make this a little bit bigger, maybe change the color rather. I might right click this. You can see I can cut, copy, clear the hotkey, set the color, and audition audio. If I want to set the color, a really interesting color wheel pops up here. I can always put the red, green, and blue if I wanted to, or I can do different options there. You can see all the options, the hex and the colors. If you're like a Photoshop person, you know what I'm talking about here. But essentially, I'll make this a new color. So I'll just put, I don't know, what do you feel like? Bright green? Works for you? I'm going to hit enter on that, and there is my hotkey, G selector from RCS3 with bright green. And again, you'll notice that cloud with the download icon. And again, that's because I don't have that audio on Nate's laptop yet, right? It's still in the cloud on the Amazon Web Services. If I want to download that, again, just click that. It will download the audio, and boom, we're good to go. Let's, for argument's sake, let's just go ahead and add a hotkey bank for right now. I'll simply hit add. That gives me the title, so we'll call this Facebook Live Hotkey Bank. And then how many rows do you want to have, right? Really, the rows and the columns is all based on kind of your screen resolution and what you're comfortable with. So I'll just keep the default 5x5. Why not? And you can see here, it will save the brand new hotkey bank in real time, and then I'll have access it. So there's my 5x5. Again, it's a grid, so 5 rows, 5 columns. And then again, I could just take any one of these little elements here, RCS News, drag it into there. Boom, we're good to go. I can move it over here too. Boom, we're good to go, just like that too. If I want to switch my hotkey banks, I can go here and just go to RCS Hot AC Hotkey Bank 1. Boom, we're good to go. And yes, if you want to have multiple hotkey banks open, you could. For argument's sake, I'll go to 3 panel with wide header. And then in here, I will go ahead and show you the 3 hotkey banks open at one given time. So again, I'll change this on air, change that to hotkeys, go to my playlist, change that to also hotkeys. And the third one for hotkeys, again, just showing you what you can do here. I'll change this station to RCS Hot AC. And you know what, for argument's sake, I'll change this to Nate FM, and you can see that I have a little change bank there too. So Nate FM has its own separate hotkey banks. You can see Nate hotkeys versus the RCS hotkey bank versus here, the Facebook Live hotkey bank. So as you can see, some really cool stuff evolving with Zetta Cloud. We're constantly evolving this. We had a question based on earlier if we can go, and this is available right now to our Zetta Cloud-based disaster recovery clients. But we got some really cool things coming down the pipeline that we have in our development area as well too. So there's some really, really cool things coming down the pipeline for Zetta Cloud. And as you know, with all of RCS products, we have a team dedicated who is for development and coding and all of that good stuff. And this is constantly evolving, and it's so cool to watch because you can see, you know, like every month, so to speak, it has a nice little tweak with a really new cool feature. So as I said, phase 2 of RCS Cloud is going to be Zetta Cloud automation. And I think this will be available in Q4, and you're going to see a lot more the evolution of Zetta Cloud from now until then as well. So you can see there's some unique reporting that we've added here too, some API errors, station events, just in case there's any issues there. Under the config, we have some more aspects here under the config and stations. This has constantly been evolving too. So if you want, you can see here, I'll do a quick little kind of zoom in there. There's that time zone, by the way, Di, that you can respect at the Zetta Cloud. So my time zone is New York. There are my players here. We can have multiple players. That's one of the new things too, is we can have a primary player and an unlimited number of secondary players or fallback players with your station now in Zetta Cloud. That's really cool. You can see here what I did on my end is I actually reversed my encoder that's built in with Zetta Cloud, and I connected this to my Revma account. Revma, of course, is our streaming distributor. That has, of course, a limited amount of streams after that. So the way that I designed this was my Zetta encoder is going to Revma with the mounting point, and then Revma, I can then have an unlimited amount of streams and relays based upon this encoder here. We have live metadata for your RSS feed. We have some audio settings, as you can see here, the auto live assist and manual mode. We now have added some normalization, soft ETM, stretch and squeeze, and we also have some emergency playlists as well. For those online streams, so to speak, sometimes we just kind of want a generic content, and we want to just replicate that content over and over and over again. So in case you do have, if you're finding yourself in kind of a unique playlist that you want to repeat, we do have some what we call emergency playlists, which essentially is a way of just adding, if there's no music there, we can add that. But of course, if you do have music and you do have G Selector, we do have some options now to have your G Selector connected to Zetta Cloud, which is so cool because G Selector can be put on a VM somewhere in the cloud that could connect to your Zetta Cloud instance, and all of a sudden we got G Selector and Zetta Cloud in the cloud, which is really, really cool. So excited about that stuff too. We're getting ready to wrap up. So if you have any questions, get them in now. That's your kind of last chance for questions. We do have some unique beta programs. So Di was asking if you are interested and maybe want to do a part of a beta. We do have some beta programs available for you. As I said beforehand, it never hurts to ask and reach out to us. Everybody's situation is different. Obviously, you know exactly how it is. We joke here because you can see this and say, this is perfect. This is exactly what I want. I want an on-air module where I control the play, pause, and stop. I want a voice tracker so I can voice track my logs. I want to have G Selector logs being sent to Zetta Cloud. I want hotkeys. This is great. But then, of course, you're always like, ooh, we have to go and import traffic, and we got to do this and do this and do this. And that's why I'm saying usually Q4 is probably a better timetable for you, but also depends on your workflows as well. So again, Di was saying if you want to have a beta or get more information on this, it never hurts to reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to point you in the right direction. be it me, your local sales representative, whatever it may be. And if you do want to reach out, again, you can comment, you can email us, direct message us. As I said, we'll point you in the right direction. The very last thing I want to show you for today is the system monitor. System monitor is one of those things where people kind of go like, okay, great, I'm not going to really use it. But as an administrator or an engineer, it's really, really helpful because it can show you a snapshot of where you are. So just very, you can see here, depending on where you've seen the last videos of Zetta Cloud, we now have a nice new kind of organization aspect of the system monitor. We have the storage over here so you can see exactly what you have in regards to your audio. Because yes, that does come into your budget, because obviously that involves some S3 buckets on Amazon Web Services. So obviously if you have more terabytes of audio, we need to make sure we're there. And if you do go over, we have to account for that as well. So you can see a storage snapshot of all of your audio. From there, we have a breakdown of all of our stations. And as I said beforehand, you have multiple players now and multiple sequencers too. So in case you do have a primary and some failover streams, you can see those here and see exactly what kind of mode that your player is in, your sequencer is in, and of course, all of your stations on top of that. So some really cool stuff there. I'm just kind of showing you some of the aerial view, administrative view, if you will. Again, last chance for questions here. I got one from CHBN. Hello, guys. Thank you for checking in. Zetta 520.1. I believe the release date, if I'm not mistaken, is sometime around June 25th. I believe that's the latest date that I saw there. I know it was end of June. Obviously with COVID, all of our schedules are all over the place here too. So I believe that's the last date that I saw was the end of June for the release of Zetta 5.20.1. Don't forget too, by the way, if you go to rcsworks.com and you sign in with your RCS credentials, there is an option under your profile. There's a checkbox at the very bottom that says notify me when a product releases or any kind of notifications on there too. So if you do find yourself really, bound looking at the, what's the phrase I'm looking for here? It's irrelevant. But if you're really looking to get that 520.1, you're curious when it's going to be released, you can definitely check that out. I will say, guys, CHBN, if you want, we do have, as Di was saying earlier, we do have beta programs going on as well. What we'll do is we'll kind of put you in touch with kind of our product managers and our beta managers, and that way you get some kind of one-on-one, and you get to utilize the latest and greatest features. Obviously, when we send out a piece of software to beta, it's gone through some QA, it's gone through some testing as well, so it's not like it's a completely blind version that we just throw out there and we expect you to kind of figure it out. That's not the case. So as of right now, I think we're on a preview 3, if I'm not mistaken. I'm getting kind of technical here. But the good news I'm getting at here is as we're inching closer to release dates, it's a little more stable. And, hopefully that's going to be one of those releases that's out there that version of code will become the release. So if you guys are interested and there's a feature there you're looking to get and looking to test out, we're always looking for beta testers. As I said, reach out to us. We'll point you in the right direction and all of that good stuff. So last call for questions. Next Thursday, we'll be back once again. I have some really cool stuff lined up. I have a lot of special guests. I got some product managers. I just want to throw out there, we're going to do this every single Thursday, 11 a.m. Eastern time. I'm curious on your feedback too, by the way. If you find that 11 a.m. Eastern time, I know I'm here in the East Coast, it's 8 a.m. The European guys, I'm sorry if we have to go back and watch it afterwards, but we're a little flexible here. So if you do have any suggestions or tips or things you want to see in this Facebook Live, it helps us a lot because we can kind of work around and do some unique things. But again, I just want to point out that we have stuff in the future lined up, which is really, really exciting. Breaking down some of those new features, breaking down, you've been hearing this since I had this interview with Chip, our CTO. Of course, all our videos are on the archive. You can check those out. That hybrid workflow, you're going to hear a lot of that in the future, talking about RCS products, because we can get you from point A to point B with the traffic, music scheduling, with automation, with Revma and the streaming. and now Zetta Cloud, we have a lot of really cool workflows we're designing. For example, in Zetta Cloud, you can voice track your Zetta Cloud with your cloud-based disaster recovery, and that voice track is going to get sent back to your local Zetta. If it's sent back to your local Zetta, you have both disaster recovery and you have now a voice tracker, which, by the way, doesn't need VPN, but does have username and password access for security. So we're going to demo that hopefully. I don't think it's next week, the week after that. But we got some cool stuff with Zetta Cloud, voice tracking, G Selector. If you want to talk about Acquira, you want to talk about Revma, talk about the Revma conference app so that your morning show can voice track live, or I guess voice track. You can broadcast live using your Zetta. We can do that too. So some cool stuff there. Definitely let us know what piques your interest. And I will see you, pending last questions. No, we're good. I will see you next Thursday, 11 a.m. Eastern time. Have a fantastic weekend. Be healthy, be safe. Thank you, everybody. Have a good one. Bye-bye. Now end video.